Good morning. We're learning the Maamar Choviv. Moshe wanted I should speak about the Nefesh HaSichlis, but I'm going to see how much iskafia he has. Will he be able to control himself till next Monday when I'm back home and I have my Svarim? There's a book, Moshe, you must have it in your library, called On the Essence of Chassidus. And in the essence, you do have it. In the
has my old copy.
Okay. In the essence of Chassidus, right? In the essence of Chassidus, there's a long footnote which explains in English very well. And what I want to do is find the page, have you then send that out to all of us, and we will learn it and read it in English together. And I think that will be helpful in explaining better what the Nefesh HaSichlis is. So I'm not going to answer and explain it today, but just have you. I know that you can't sleep at night, and Shabbos you have to have this for your meditation when you daven. So I'm going to ask you to control yourself and use something else for meditation. And Monday, in Mitzvah Hashem, we'll go back to that because I should find it. But and here in Florida, I don't have my Svarim, so please forgive me. Okay. But let's go back to the text. Now we are, I think at Ois Dalid. Is that correct? Oh no, we're actually four lines from the end of chapter 3. What?
I have a mark at V'im Hayot the Nefesh HaSichlis Igam Kein Minoga.
Yes. Okay. V'im Hayot the Nefesh HaSichlis Igam Kein Minoga. V'im Hayot. When you see those words, it's a rhetorical. It's a question. We said that the intermediary to bring together the two worlds of Nefesh Elokis and Nefesh Abamis, godliness and animalism, requires an intermediary, someone who can talk to both parties, understands both parties, and themselves make a compromise in which both parties feel good and want to have a relationship. And we call this Nefesh HaSichlis. And again, we'll explain Monday, God willing, more about that. But whatever it is, it's called Nefesh HaSichlis, the place of intellect, of logic, which understands what the godly soul wants, yet it understands the bodily needs, and it says, let me figure out a way how to get you guys together. But his question is, according to Kabbalah says that the Nefesh HaSichlis is from the Noga, from the translucent klippa. So as soon as you say Noga, you're talking about negativity. It's not complete negativity. That would be called, as the Alter Rebbe mentions in chapter 1 in Tanya, Sholosh Klippos Hatmeos. The three defiled, contaminated klippos, which are completely bad and no good. And the Nefesh HaSichlis, being that it has an element of seichel, which so therefore it lifts itself away from animalism and goes towards godliness. Nevertheless, where are its feet? Its feet are in this world, in the world of animalism, in the world of sheker, right? And so that's called, in the terminology of Kabbalah, the world of Noga. Noga means translucent. There is some light. So the Rebbe's question is, how could it be an intermediary? An intermediary, seemingly, would be someone that not only is its head not in the schmutz, but its feet is also not in schmutz. It's not yet pure godliness. So therefore, such a position I can understand as an intermediary. But something or someone whose head's not in schmutz, but his feet is in schmutz, guess what? You can quicksand and you can slip in and fall in. So you are already grasped, taken, absorbed by the klippa. So it's not a true intermediary. That's his question in those few words, Isser. V'im eyos, the nefesh hasichlis hikam kein minoiga, and although the nefesh hasichlis is also from klipas noga, avon continuing, he mimadreges elyoines de noiga. We'll just leave it at this point because it's a concept in Kabbalah. In Noga itself, there is the Madrege Elyona, the upper level, and there's the lower level. There's the upper Shmutz and the lower Shmutz. The lower Shmutz gets you to sink further and further down. The upper lets you breathe and not sink anymore, and it gives you the ability to raise your head, realize what's going on, and pull yourself out of the schmutz. So yes, you are in Noga, but it gives you the ability to uplift yourself. And here he goes again with another rhetorical remark. As This is interesting, Avram. The Rebbe says, okay, you're telling me that regarding its feet, all right, feet with quotations around it, it's not in the lower, it's in the higher. Well, let's look at its mind, seichel. You're calling it nefesh hasichlis, the intellectual drive. What does this intellect consist of? It consists of understanding natural phenomena. Look at the words, b'inyonim hativiyim, ukemoyim, for example, lodas, to know, to understand. B'chol mitzius davar, in every existing matter, ha'harakava shaloi, its composition. How is it made? What is it comprised of? That's what we call harakava. V'chol chalokov, to understand all of its parts, v'tivoi, and its nature, v'hainu, the chlolus ha'seichel hu b'yeshus ha'davar lo b'hedoro. These are beautiful words. Its entire mind is occupied with understanding the yesh of the thing, the existence of the thing, and not the negation of the thing, which in Hebrew is hadorei. Now listen to the Yiddish words, Yoini, beautiful Yiddish words. Nit in them, nit faran. Its mind is not occupied with its non-existence, nor rather in dem faran von der Sach. Its mind is occupied in the existence of the matter. Now, let me explain this. You guys are philosophy students. So here use a little philosophy. Seichel, when you use your mind, your brain, right? And hopefully we use it more often than not, okay? So when you use your seichel, what does seichel explore, and how does it explore? It explores something that already exists. And it wants to know, how does this thing exist? What is it made of? What are its elements and details? So from the very beginning, Moshe, from the very beginning of seichel, it's all about understanding existence. Avram, existence is yeshus. Now, yeshus we usually translate as ego. We're not talking about ego. We're talking about existence, okay? So now we're using the translation for the word yeshus at this point in the Maamar, not as ego, but existence. Do you see the difference between ego and existence? Ego is gaiva. Existence is not necessarily gaiva, but it's a mitziyut. It's already an existence. And as soon as you give credence, one second, Yoni. As soon as you give credence to something being in existence, you are already trapped. You're trapped in the world of existence. And if you intellectualize that using your seichel, it's very difficult to unravel yourself from existence when you're in the world of existence. And that's what he said. He says, your mind is not thinking about how it doesn't exist. Your mind already is wrapped around and swallowed, absorbed by existence. And if that's the case, So what's his question? It's not a true intermediary. Because godliness transcends existence. God is the creator, not the created. So the Rebbe's rhetorical question is, Yoni, how can you tell me that the nefesh hasichlis, the human intellectual drive, is the right vessel, is the right medium to be an intermediary between godliness and animalism? The human intellectual drive already is part of the animalistic experience, i.e. existence. That's his question. Yoni, what do you want to say?
Just a short thing, like kind of like the mashpia in the shul. His name is Rabbi Brown, Rabbi Yosef Brown. He says that ego is edge God out. That's what ego is. That's what he calls it.
That's nice. That's a new one. I never heard that. Edge God out. I like it. I like it. So that's the question. What's his retort? What's his response? Omnom liyoisoi seichel v'tivi hine bezeh. You have to emphasize the word here, bezeh, hu memutza bein ha-nefesh elikis v'nefesh habamis. The Rebbe turns it around. He turns it around. He says, just on the contrary, because the nefesh hasichlis is, because of its content and its occupation, which is intellect and nature, that's what makes it the proper intermediary. If it wasn't occupied with existence, and if it wasn't part of existence, it couldn't be an intermediary, because the nefesh habamis is existence. Boy, is it existence. Give me, I want, I need, me. So of course the nefesh hasichlis has to identify with that. And the Rebbe says this aspect, that it's absorbed by existence, makes it a proper intermediary to talk to the nefesh habamis, and the nefesh habamis lets it in and says, in other words, imagine if the nefesh hasichlis would come to the nefesh habamis and say, look, you're a big behemoth, you're an animal, you're so grub, you're so coarse. Change your ways. Stop with the foolishness. Guess what? We had that already in 5th grade in yeshiva in 1950 and 1960. Where people came over, they didn't have a job, they needed parnasa, they had no idea what of being an educator, and they were religious, and the kids were all, Brooklyn boys, children of survivors, wanted to play baseball, wanted to had baseball cards, watch the Fonzarelli on television, go to sports games, and just enjoy and look at girls. And the Rebbe comes in and says, "Oi, you're gonna burn in hell if you look at a girl and talk to a girl and watch television." Right? And what's the result of that? We all know, a disaster. Because this is who I am now, and this is where I am, not where I am, and I don't know any better, and that's what I was raised with. So what do you want from me? So there's no conversation. It meant nothing, and we lost a whole generation, a whole generation, until chinuch changed its whole view. We lost a lot of kids and a lot of families because there was a breakdown. There was no nefesh hasichlis. There was only elikus, godliness, Torah, and animalism and behavior that's against Hashem, etc. Act like a behemoth. So the Rebbe says that yes, you're right, the nefesh hasichlis is identified with existence, but it's existence that gives the nefesh habamis an opportunity to get involved in a conversation. And this does actually, Moshe, speak a little bit to what you asked. What is this nefesh hasichlis? The nefesh hasichlis is not godliness, it's not elokus, it's not the neshama, but yet it's not a pure old behemoth that just wants one thing, indulgence and hedonism. It's able to have its feet and its mind focusing on existence, but because it has the seichel element, the intellect element, it strives upward. It looks for something more rational, and it says, hey, if I'm going to live like a behemoth, I'm going to hurt my body. I'll drink till I die, and I'll indulge till I die, and I'm going to be very sick and very miserable, and I want to have a breakdown of family and everything else. So, okay, you want to drink, say l'chaim once in a while. You want to go to a game, no problem. But no, that's Shabbos, we close the TV, the internet, we don't play around at Shabbos L'Hashem, Used to be, probably you only remembers in Brooklyn when the World Series was on in September, it came out, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, we used to pass the stores in whatever neighborhoods to see the TVs playing so you could look at the game. That graduated to another level where we preset our TV to record, to sometimes go on. So I didn't put the game on. The game went on by itself. So I come home from shul and I could just sit on my couch and watch the game. Then they became a little more frum, and that was too outrageous. So they preset it so it records it so much of Shabbos, so much of Yom Tov, I can watch the game that was taped on Yom Tov. Right? All these type of little maneuvers to get around the halacha and then not worry too much if it's a derabanan or it's a derabanan derabanan, if it's a shvus dishvus and 75 shvusim, and who's looking and who cares, and we play around, right? That's all existence. That's all yesh. But there is hardcore yesh, and there is quiet yesh. No one sees. My mother doesn't see. My Rebbe doesn't see. My rabbi doesn't see. My kids don't see. So I can, do what I really like, right? So the Rebbe says, what?
My father told me, you just said, my father, he should be well. He
Amen.
told me a story. He says, when he was in yeshiva in Flushing, in Queens.
Yeah.
And on Shabbos afternoon, when they would have a game at Shea Stadium, from the seventh inning, the guards would go away.
Right.
They didn't need to give a ticket.
Right.
So he said they used to go. It was around mincha time on Shabbos afternoon, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever time Shabbos,
yeah.
and we'd go the whole yeshiva would go to the game on Shabbos. But there was nothing. There was no malach. There was no electronic devices. They just went. They said they had shalosh shudas and shaykhs.
Shalosh is a first. It's a first. But the point is that if you rule out, say you're a shagitz, you're a bum, you're such a, what I'm saying? Okay, the guy says go away, go. I want to be this way. But if you say, okay, let's walk to the Shea Stadium from the shul. And on the way there, you talk to the teenager and you say a word and that. Maybe as they come to the game, they'll turn backwards. Like with Rav Shlomo Carlebach, the famous story, the summer of '69 in Haight-Ashbury. Everyone's going down to the ocean to enjoy themselves. This is going to be the enjoyment of life, being naked at the ocean, etc. We'll leave it at that. And Shlomo Carlebach, I heard this from someone who was walking behind Shlomo. He lives here in this community. He told me himself. So all the Jewish boys and girls from the House of Love and Prayer are walking behind Shlomo, and thousands and thousands are walking to the ocean, right? And Shlomo realizes this ain't getting any better. And at the last moment, he makes a left turn, and all his chevra go not down, they go elsewhere. Now imagine he would have said from the beginning, we're not doing this, right? Yeah, you would have some that would listen because they really loved him and they followed him, right? But many others would say, I'm sorry, thousands are going to the beach and the water. I'm not going to go. And the fact that whatever's going to happen there, we'll deal with it later. He starts walking, pretending like he's going to follow. And then, as they go, he makes the U-turn, the left turn. again, I don't know if it's an exact example, but it's somewhat of an example of what we're talking about here. So, Hillel, when the Rebbe says here, Omnam liyosa, we're the end, the last line of Perek Gimel of the Maamar here. Omnam liyosa seichel v'tivi, since the very core of the nefesh hasichlis is intellect and nature, and I'm using the word existence to substitute for the word tivi, nature, hine bozeh. You have to emphasize the bozeh. It is with this aspect that hu mimutza, that the nefesh hasichlis becomes the proper intermediary by nefesh olikis nefesh habamis. And this is what I told you, where Rabbi Steinsaltz would always say, that if you tell someone, come to a Farbrengen, and we're going to talk about God and spirituality, they'll say, have a nice day, I have better things to do with my time. You tell them, come to a party. Oh, a party? Oh, that I like. There's going to be scotch? Yeah. There'll be men and women? Yeah. There'll be food? Yeah. There'll be songs? Yeah. I want to go there. Comes to the party and he sees a man bringing an older person or a younger person, and all of a sudden he says l'chaim, but right after the l'chaim he ain't going crazy and smoking up and doping up and becoming crazy. He's talking about Hashem and about Torah and about Jewishness. So automatically already the nefesh habamis is in. He's already in. He's caught. Now he starts hearing a niggin and a vort, and they're chevra together, and it feels good. The feeling, you're able to make movement. That's the job of the nefesh hasichlis, and that's why the nefesh hasichlis is key in accomplishing the purpose of Torah, of Hashem, to bring together the nefesh elukis and the nefesh habamis. What time is it?
It's actually 10 after 3, Rabbi, and I have to go and stuff. My wife just told me I have
Okay,
to go anyway,
okay. So
have a wonderful Shabbos.
So wonderful Shabbos. So just for another 5 minutes, before the end of the year, we'll start next week. Emet Hashem, I want to read that piece from Essence of Chassidus, and then finish the next paragraph, hopefully by Lag Baimer. But Lag Baimer is Thursday this year, correct? Yeah. So this Shabbos is Shabbos Emor. Emor v'amarta lahazir gedolim.
It's Bahar.
What? Oh, right. For you guys, Bahar. Well, I'll have to say a vart on both.
It's like old news over here.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is that there's a connection between Emor and Bahar. Emor means to say, right? Rashi says that the Gedolim, the elders, should give instruction to the youngsters. Now, this is in regard to the laws of Kohanim and Tumah, etc. But it has, of course, the broader interpretation that it's up to the elders, the older people, the parents, the grandparents, lahazir, to give instruction or to warn. But the word lahazir is associated with the Zohar, splendor, brilliance, illumination. Lahazir gedolim alaktanim. The gedolim need to make brilliant and inspire through illumination the youngsters. Not to squash the youngsters, but to turn them on. And when you turn them on, then they're eager to know what we, the elders, have to offer. And that's our job. Our job is to focus on the positivity. Our job is to inspire. So the onus is on us. So in other words, when you learn this Rashi, Hashem is instructing the Gedolim. Yeah, but it's kind of warn the youngsters. Just warn them and caution them. Right? The deeper meaning is not warn them, inspire them. And when you talk about inspiration and inspire them, the onus is on you. You have to be inspired to inspire others. Whereas in warning, the emphasis is not on you as much as them. Just bottom line, make sure they get the warning. I think that's a very important insight into even the opening psukim and Rashi of the Parsha. And then we have Bahar. Bahar is a mountain. Nope. Who wants to climb a mountain? Climbing a mountain sometimes could be very risky. It's hard. There's rocks. But we know, Miyale Bahar Hashem, Umiyokim B'mkoim Kodshay. It says, who can ascend the mountain of God and who can stand in the place of holiness? Someone who has pure hands, one who has a pure heart. In other words, when a person is inspired themselves, that includes being pure, being more honest, realizing our shortcomings and, dumping out the yeshus, the ego from the personality and really feeling the other person. Empathy, not only sympathy. To always put yourself into the position of the other person and to understand and listen to them. We've discussed in our shiurim that the art of listening is almost out the window and how important it is to listen to other people in every situation. Give another person the benefit of the doubt. Bahar. So if you want to climb onto a mountain, if you want to reach a peak, if you want to reach the Har Sinai, which is in another few weeks, the Har, you need to incorporate the Emor. Yes, Hillel.
I just want to say I have a friend, a colleague, who the last time I saw her this week, she had injured her hand. I said, how'd you injure your hand? She said, I was climbing Har Sinai. and I fell, and I had to be medevaced out by camel.
Wow. That's a.
I know it's really timely.
Yeah. Very good. So that's a thought on the connection between Har and Sinai, and everyone should have a great Shabbos preparation for Lag B'Omer. The day of Rav Shimon, I have to tell you, it's called like the Matan Torah of Pnimius HaTorah, the Zohar HaKodesh, Chassidus, Arizal, and everything else has been by the Lubavitcher Rebbeim. I believe they write in certain places that it's like Lag B'Omer is the Matan Torah of Pnimius HaTorah. Shavuos is the Matan Torah of the Torah, Nigla. What about Pnimius HaTorah? That's associated with Shimon with Lag B'Omer. So I don't know if you guys are going or aren't going, but wherever we are, we should celebrate the Lag B'Omer in a way that's meaningful. Have a great Shabbos. We'll see everyone on Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.
A great Shabbos.
Bye-bye.